So first of all, I appreciate everybody jumping on the call today. The the goal for today is obviously to go over some lead generation techniques in order to help everybody just jumpstart the beginning of their year. For those of you who, a lot of you know me, some of you pretty well, some of you don't, and this is the first time that you've seen me. My name is Ben Esposito. I am a team lead and real estate agent. Um, in Mansfield, Massachusetts. I run the Esposito Realty Group here at EXP. More recently, I have been doing a lot more of coaching and training, helping other agents succeed, and really determine what we can do to help us as a community of real estate agents just continue to grow and get better at what we do. What I'll be sharing with you guys today is a lot of what I built my business on. I started in real estate. For those of you who don't know me, I started in real estate when I was 18 years old. So this was all the way back when I was a sophomore in college. My mother, who will be jumping on this call, has been in real estate over 30 years in Eastern Connecticut. Um, I would sell real estate in summers and winter breaks for her. And I did that throughout my entire college career. And when I graduated, I decided that I wanted to go out and get a real job. I moved out of Connecticut into Massachusetts and spent about 5 years of my life at that point working in what people would consider a normal job. I was managing a couple of people at the ripe age of 26 years old. And at that point, I just really felt compelled to get back into sales. And if I was going to get back into sales, it was sort of a natural transition to go back into real estate. I got into real estate in 2006. And as most of you know, in 2008, the financial crisis happened. The entire industry tanked. And I was sitting there in a brand new market with very little sort of relationships with others. I didn't have a lot of friends or family in the area. So I was left with a lot of uncertainty about how to build my business. Now, at the time, I decided, and Rob and Scott O'Donnell are on this call, and a lot of you guys know them. I jumped into bank owned and REO properties, which found me crawling through windows and, working with, homeowners to get them out of a house and working with a lot of investors and contractors. I spent 5, 6 years doing that. And when my wife was pregnant, in 2014, I made the determination to go back into conventional real estate. And that's really what I'm going to be talking about is at that point in my career in 2014, I knew that I wanted to provide a lifestyle for myself and my wife and my daughter to be. And so I needed to go out and find a real estate coach and some guidance on exactly what I needed to do in order to succeed. So I went out, I got a real estate coach, and I started prospecting. I started doing everything that that coach told me to do because I knew that she had helped other people succeed. And I knew that if I followed exactly what she said, I would do the same. In 2013, I made roughly $60,000 in conventional real estate. I did 18 conventional sales, most of which were working with contractors through the REO business. In 2014, I closed 42 transactions. So I went from 18 to 42 transactions in 1 year. And in no uncertain terms, all of that was a direct result of staying incredibly focused on lead generation, having accountability, and being surrounded by other people that were doing it. I mention all of this to you because what I've built over the past 10 years since then has allowed me in this past year to earn over $1 million in commissions to me, not including the team, where I don't prospect anymore. All of that business just comes in. And I'm not suggesting that that's what you should do in the future or that's what your goal should be. But for me, I found myself 4 years ago, the first time that I brought in $1 million in GCI, I found myself sort of at a point and at success that I thought was going to fill me with a lot of joy and happiness. I thought fulfillment was going to be there. And at that point, I realized that I was just increasing my lifestyle and increasing the amount of money that I made because that's what I thought I should do. And I wasn't paying attention to what was meaningful and impactful for myself. At that point, I was very, very close to leaving the business. I've told a lot of you guys about this, but I was within 6 months of completely changing my entire life, ending my real estate career, going up to Maine, New Hampshire. I wanted to go to Alaska, but that was not the lifestyle that my wife signed up for. So she put a big veto on that. But I met an incredible coach and mentor who allowed me at that point in my life to really work on my mental, spiritual, and emotional health. In the past 4 years, I've really been able to focus on that and find out what is important to me. The reason that I'm mentioning this to you guys is because I believe that I had that opportunity to focus on the spiritual side of things, the mental side of things, to really discover who I am, because I had created enough business and I had worked hard enough that the real estate business just started coming in. Now, if you guys are strong enough to be able to work on your real estate business and work on your mental and emotional health at the same time, I applaud you. I was not able to do that in my, mid 30s when this was going on. If you have the ability to do that, that is obviously the most ideal way to progress as a human being, in my opinion. But I think if you have so much pressure to go out there and make money, if you're not ahead of where you want to be, if you don't have savings or any residual income, sometimes the only way to get to a point where you can actually look inward and start working on yourself is to solve the most immediate problem. I believe what I'm going to go over today, if you focus on that, not only will it build immediate business for you guys right now, it will also set you up for future residual business to just come in because of the value that you're going to be providing to others throughout the community and your clients. All along that way, depending on your proximity and how closely you're related to me or somebody else, I think what you're going to find is that not only are you going to improve your business, but you're going to improve the quality of the person that you are and become more in alignment with what you want to do with your life. I always like to start and mention for everybody on this call to just stop and take a moment to notice where you are. You are amongst a group of people that are motivated and enthusiastic right now. Everybody on this call has taken time out of doing something else to spend time here to learn and to grow and be in proximity. We aren't going to be at this moment again right now at the beginning of 2025. And you can use this as an opportunity, if you choose, as a catapult, as a springboard for the rest of your year, so that you can really, really take advantage of not only this opportunity that we have here in real estate, but also the growth that you can have as a person. So to get onto it, so when we look at tips to increase your business right now, what I did exceptionally well, and some of you guys are in Texas, some of you are in Florida, you're around the country, and each market is going to be a little bit different. I focused on three main things to build the business that I have right now. When I started my career, I did a tremendous amount of telephone solicitation to just listed, just sold, and neighborhood calls. There's not a ton of expired listings and for sale by owners up here in New England, at least in our direct marketplace. Even at the beginning of the year, I think we had 7 expired listings on January 1st. I was on prospecting calls with some of you guys down in Texas, and you guys have like 200-300 expired listings on January 1st. That's not our market. So everybody has to choose. There's people that made tons of money and built their business on expireds and probates, for sale by owners. Those are things that will actually have more immediate impact on your business right now. It's just not something that's prevalent in our area. We don't have that many probates, although we do. It's just not something that, in my opinion, or at least the way that I built my business, that was not something that I could rely on to get both immediate and future business. So I started with just listed, just sold, and neighborhood calls, and we're going to go over that first because I think that it's a way that if you're dedicated and motivated, if you really push in this aspect, I think you can build not only immediate business, but you can brand yourself as the expert in the community that you want to work in. Second thing that I'm going to go over is your past client and center of influence. I can't tell you how many times I've been at coaching events, Mike Ferry coaching events, and people making 25, 30, 50 calls and contacts a day. And you look at them and you have a conversation, and you go, oh, well, how many people in your database? And they'll say, well, I have 5 or 6 or 700, 2,000 people in my database. And I say, well, how often do you call them? And they're like, I don't. And so they go out every day and they prospect day after day after day for new clients. And they have this book of business sitting right in their computer, right in their phone right now. Even if you don't have a CRM set up, pull out your phone and look at how many contacts are in your phone. That's your database. That's the start of it. But very few people actually call them because it's really, really uncomfortable. So we're going to go into my exact script. I have both of them and we're going to drop them in the chat for you guys to follow along. But I have the scripts for just listed, just sold calls. I have the scripts for past client center of influence, exactly what I have said over the years in order to develop the business right now that returns me $1 million in commissions every year without fail. Third thing I'm going to go over is a little bit of lead follow-up. I'm sorry. Third thing I'm going to go over is local activities and networking. I think that there's a missed opportunity out there where people come in contact with you all the time, but you're almost a secret agent. And I was one of those people too for a very long time in my career. And I'll tell this story in a little bit, but I would almost hide the fact that I was a real estate agent. If I was at the gym, if I was, at a local event, if I was, wherever I was, if I was kids activities, I would never even talk about it. It's just a huge missed opportunity. And so I'm going to go through just a couple of tips and advice on exactly how to capitalize on the activities that you're already doing in order to build up your network of people who are going to deliver business for you, either them individually or people that they know. We'll go over a little bit of lead follow-up because I see this time and time again where people work so hard to get leads and they get the lead and then they put it behind them and they go search for new leads and they never end up doing anything. And then if a certain period of time goes by, then they get uncomfortable with the fact that they haven't reached out. So we're going to go over lead follow-up and then we'll go over social media because I know everybody loves talking about social media. So here's a couple of tips that I want you guys, if you're in a position to write some stuff down, write these things down. The best thing I ever heard to describe real estate in general is the fact that there is nothing complicated, but it's just simply not easy. There really isn't anything complicated. What I'm going to tell you guys today, you guys can find on the internet. The specific scripts might be a little bit different, but what I'm telling you guys today is not unique. The thing is that it's just not easy to do it over and over again. And that's why when you look at the community of people that are right here and the community of people that you guys have access to, the more that you surround yourself with like-minded people that are going in this direction, the more likely it is that you'll actually stick to it. So understand that nothing's complicated, but it is certainly not easy. And that's why we have an 85% failure rate in this industry. So here's a couple of things. When you're doing this, you have to be really committed to your schedule. You have to identify the times that you're going to prospect. So if we talk about this month exclusively, arguably after today, we have 18 more weekdays. And if you really want to push, you should be doing at least one weekend day of prospecting as well. So you're talking about 20 to 21 days of prospecting. What of those 21 days or 22 days or 23 days, if you really want to grind, like what number of hours and when are you working? If you don't schedule it in and make that a priority, make that the top priority, other things will become the top priority on the day that you're supposed to be working. And then all of a sudden a week goes by and 10 days goes by and it starts to become less of a priority. And then you get further from this event and you get further from checking in with people on this call. And all of a sudden the motivation goes away and you're sitting at the end of the month and you haven't done anything. You have to schedule this stuff in your schedule right now. At the end of this call, look at the days that you have to dedicate to prospecting. Some of you have a lot of time, others don't. Make sure you prioritize, even if it's an hour. Do an hour 3 days a week. There are people on this call that are prospecting 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. You can make excuses or you can just schedule it in. Second thing is accountability. You should create massive accountability. At my peak, I had 3 accountability partners every single day. I had an accountability partner that I needed to check in with at the end of the day. If I didn't do 52 contacts, I owed $250. I had an accountability partner for working out first thing in the morning, that if I didn't work out and I didn't send a picture of me at the gym 4 days a week, I would owe them $50. And then I had an accountability partner when I signed on for all of my morning prospecting. I jumped on a group. We created a group of 4 or 5 individuals who would jump on a Zoom call every morning. At the time, it was Google Meet. We'd jump on, and if I wasn't on the call at 8 o'clock, I would get fined. If I did work besides prospecting between 8 and 12, I got fined. That was the level of accountability that I needed. I knew I was real slimy. If I didn't have people checking in on me, I would find other priorities that I would do. Create massive accountability. Make sure people are aware of what you're doing. Don't hide behind the fact that nobody is your boss and you're working from home. Tell your spouse, tell your significant other, tell your kids, tell your parents, tell everybody that you work with what you're doing. Find people on this call. If people need an accountability partner right now, stop, go to the chat and drop your email. Say, I want an accountability partner. Drop your email and your phone number in there. I guarantee you there's somebody else that won't do it, but goes, oh yeah, I really need that. And they're going to write that down. Contact somebody else who says, hey, listen, I need help staying accountable. At the end of the day, just for this month, at the end of the day, let's check in with each other on how many contacts we do, how many leads we create. If you schedule it in, if you keep accountability, the odds that you do what I'm going to teach you to do today will go up drastically. You will sit back at the end of the month and you will recognize the value of proximity to great people, to doing what you say you're going to do. It will make a difference. I promise you it will make a difference. Find accountability partners. 2 more things before we get into it. Number 1 is that the more uncomfortable you are doing it, any of these activities, it just illustrates how uncomfortable the task is and how unlikely it is that your competition is going to do the same thing. 95 to 99% of people, when they get uncomfortable, they go in the other direction. So if you're feeling uncomfortable making calls to friends and family, asking them for business, guess what? Your competition is too. Understand and recognize in the moment that you feel uncomfortable that if you turn around and you push back and you do the thing that's uncomfortable, eventually it may not ever go away. When I call my buddies that were in my wedding party, I still sweat to this day. I hate it. But they have produced hundreds of thousands of dollars in income for me, because I'm leaning into what I'm uncomfortable with. I am uncomfortable on this call. I have a camera right here that's broadcasting live to Instagram. I am wildly uncomfortable right now, but I'm leaning into it because this I know is in alignment with what I want out of my life. And if you've determined that success in real estate and making money to support your family, to grow investments, to get to a place where you can be financially free and independent and make decisions independent of earning money on a daily basis, if you've got those goals, then this is the hard work. This is why it's not easy in real estate. Anytime you're uncomfortable, recognize that you're uncomfortable. Say, hey, listen, I'm uncomfortable. I see that I'm uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway. Schedule your stuff, get accountability partners, realize that discomfort is just a part of life, lean into it. And the last thing is just to recognize that you guys are salespeople. This is a sales business. Don't be afraid to be a salesperson. So many people in this business would just want to, I want to have a good relationship with people and I love houses. I love houses so much. Just love going in them and leaving them and opening doors and love showing pantries and linen closets are my favorite. No, it's not. Making money is. Like, don't kid yourself. You're in this business. Nobody gets into this business just for everybody gets into this business for the love of houses, right? But nobody makes money because of their love for houses. You make money because you're in sales. You are a salesperson. Stop pretending that you're not. Ask for business. Don't be afraid. I'm so afraid people are going to think that I'm salesy. That's stupid. Get over it. Sorry. Um, all right. So here's the deal. How can we create more business, more leads, more clients, more deals by the end of this month? Right? We're gonna go over the first one, which is neighborhood just listed, just sold calls. Arguably, again, we have Jess Nelson on this call, who's just an absolute rock star. I know down in Texas, she works with a lot of expireds, a lot of probates. She has some for sale by owners, and that's a huge part of her business. Up here in New England, we just don't have it. I never built my business. I collected them when they were there, but I never focused my time and energy on that because there just wasn't enough for me to do that. So I know that that is a great way if you are looking to, really hone in on expireds and for sale by owners and pound that sort of lead source. I will get you in direct connection unless you already know her with Jess Nelson. She's amazing. She can coach and teach that all day long. What I did to build my business was a little bit different. I went and Sandy, can you put that? You got that? All right. So I'm gonna drop in the chat for everybody the script that I use for just listed, just solds. Just listed, just sold to neighborhood calls are very intentional. Number one is that there's an endless amount of just listed, just sold calls. Understand that you do not need to call a neighborhood on just your own listings. I mean, obviously, it's beneficial if you list a house, you should be doing these calls, just listed, just sold. You should call everybody in the neighborhood and everybody that will know that street. I didn't do that. When I started, I didn't have listings. So pick another listing. If you're in my marketplace, call just listed, just sold on my listings. You won't be the only one calling, but you can do it. Understand that the idea behind just listed, just sold and neighborhood calls is to identify motivated people. You want to go after the immediate business. This is the best time of year, especially in New England. Our market starts to pick up in March. Right now, anybody who's motivated to sell in the spring market is starting to think about what they need to do in order to get their home ready to sell. So if you consider the mindset of somebody right now who's sitting around who doesn't know a real estate agent, and I know that's hard to believe, but maybe they don't know a good real estate agent. And they're sitting around and they go, well, I want to sell, but I'm so overwhelmed with getting my house ready. The kids are, a mess and we have to do this, that, and the other thing. And I have to renovate the house before I sell it. And what do I do about financing and all this kind of stuff? And then all of a sudden, ring, ring, all of a sudden somebody comes on and says, hey, my name is Ben Esposito. I'm just spreading some news about a home that sold around the corner from you over on Banana Road. It was a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, and he sold for $100,000 more than list price. And we know that when a home sells like this, usually one or two more will sell right away. Those for sale signs just magically pop up out of the ground. So I was calling today to find out when you planned on moving. Now, unmotivated people are going to be like, well, I'm never moving. Click. Right? And that's okay because we're not looking for unmotivated people. We're looking for motivated people. And motivated and enthusiastic people love an aggressive salesperson. They love somebody calling them. Understand that 95% of people that are unmotivated, they're not what we're looking for. We're looking for that 5%. But on this type of call, unlike expireds and for sale by owners and probates who have already raised up their hand and said, hey, listen, I'm interested. Unlike those people, you have to call a lot more. Back in the day when I was building my business, I would do 52 contacts a day. One Chrissy Toronto's on this call who got into real estate, and she and I worked together. Uh, I forget how we met each other originally. It was through a connection that we had, but Chris used to sit in the office and she would listen to me prospect every single day. Same thing, to the point that I feel like her kids knew the script, right? She knows, same thing over and over again, mastering repetitious boredom. But what you have to do is you have to understand that you're looking for motivated people. And here's the thing about just listed, just sold neighborhood calls that I don't think people actually really see the value in. The other part is you're looking for connections within the community that you can build a relationship with. So, hey, listen, when do you plan on moving? Well, we're not planning on moving at all. Hey, I can't blame you. It's a wonderful neighborhood. Pay attention. Make sure it's a wonderful neighborhood. If it's a shitty neighborhood, you don't want to say that, right? But hey, listen, I can't blame you. It's a wonderful neighborhood. Tell me, how long have you lived at this address? And they go, well, we've been here 5 years. Well, always live in Mansfield here, or did you come in from out of the area? Well, we moved down from Boston. Oh, interesting. Why'd you choose Mansfield? Right. Well, we chose Mansfield because, my husband's job was down here and, it was more affordable. So we moved down here. Well, let me ask you, if you were to move, where would you go next? Well, we'd probably look for a bigger house. We're getting a little tight on the size of the home, but it's not something we really want to do immediately. Well, I can certainly understand that, right? You're having a conversation. And what you're also going to do is you're going to run into people that know everything, right? They want to know everything. So 123 Bananas sold, had 10 offers. What address was it? Oh, it was like 10 houses down from. Hear me again? Yeah. All right. If anybody knows how to like change it from an auto, like this mic goes off every 45 minutes or something like that, it's real annoying. But anyway, um, look for the nosy neighbors, the people that know everybody. I made relationships with really chatty people to the point where Chrissy and my staff would usually make fun of me because they'd be, logging inputs and it would be like super chatty. Don't call them if you don't have a half an hour to talk. But listen, the person who is nosy and wants to keep you on the phone and is in everybody's business, when you call them, guess what they're going to know? Everybody's business. And if you're kind and you take time to have a conversation with them, they'll let you know what's going on. Hey, did you hear about Margaret? Her and her husband are breaking up. Oh, I saw the dailies. They were right around the corner. They have a dumpster in their yard. I think they're getting ready to sell. It just happens. You're building relationships, and what you can also do, unlike expireds and for sale by owners and probates, because those are going to be wherever they are, is that you can identify the neighborhoods that you want to connect with. For people in my local area, I went after Forest Park. It was on the same side of town. It was the high end neighborhood of that side of town, and I called every time there was a listing in that neighborhood. I called. Every single time. Just listed, just sold. Didn't matter if it was mine or another. I probably pissed off a lot of real estate agents locally, but whatever. I called and spread the news. They weren't doing it. And all of a sudden, I got that first listing in that neighborhood. I remember it to this day. Lori Bloom. Goddamn, she was great. It was the biggest listing I'd ever taken in my career, but I worked my ass off for it. And then that led to the neighbor 3 houses down selling. And to the point where over the past like 10 years, I've been involved in like 40 to 45% of the sales in that neighborhood. But you can direct your attention at a town, at an area, at a specific neighborhood, a street. I called everybody in my hometown right now. I have 10 to 12% market share in my hometown, which means 1 out of every 10 or 11 deals I do personally. I called everybody in this town that had a home telephone number for like 7 years straight. And in some of the neighborhoods, people would pick up the phone And I go, hi, this is Ben Esposito over at the time I was with Remax. Hi, this is Ben Esposito over at Remax. And they go, oh, Ben, what house went on the market now? Like they knew why I was calling, right? So you can find immediate business. You can create relationships with homeowners who are going to sell down the road. Put them into your database. You can find nosy neighbors that are willing to give you the advice or give you insight onto what's going on within the neighborhood, so you can direct your attention a little bit more. You can start adding people to your database. The end of this script. So let's look at the script again. Up at the top, it says there's a goal to identify motivated prospects and create relationships with homeowners within a target market. The script is there. Be intentional. If you guys want just listed, if you want this is just sold. I have just listed. I have neighborhood calls. I have a hot prospect that's looking for a home in your neighborhood. I have the beginning. The vast majority of the script is the same. The initial opening line is a little bit different than this. If you signed up and gave us your email through the Google whatever form, I'll send it out to everybody after this call. If not, drop your email in the chat and we'll collect it. We'll send it out to you too. But again, here's the thing. So I'm going to drill down a little bit of importance on this call. What you want to do is you want to identify and make sure people know that you're not just somebody calling from out of state. So it was always me. Hi, this is Ben. I'm a local real estate agent right here in Mansfield, right here in Foxborough, right here in North Attleboro. I mean, I am a real estate agent and I am in that town right here in North Attleboro. I was calling to spread some neighborhood news about a home right around the corner from you. Okay. So now you've identified that you're local and that the reason that you're calling is local. So it piques their interest. It says, okay, they're not calling from another country, from another state. They're not a massive telemarketer, right? They're also giving me information, some news. I'm not selling anything. I'm just giving some neighborhood news about a home that we sold right around the corner from you. It's the yellow one right on York, right? Oh, I know that one. Now, well, what are you calling about that? That's what their head goes through. Well, all right. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath. It had 7 offers on it. We sold it for $75,000 over list price. Holy shit. We sold it for blank. It sold in 10 days. Whatever the value is that you can bring. We sold it after collecting it as an expired listing. It was on the market for 90 days and we ended up selling it in 7 days. Right? That's impressive. Then they're going to go, well, how? Why? If they're motivated. If they're not, then they're going to get off the phone. The question, when do you plan on moving, is really, really important. It is not are you planning on moving? Yes or no. No, it's very easy for people to say no and hang up. It's almost like an automatic response. No, click. But it's really hard for people to say yes or no or answer this question without thinking about it and taking a moment. It's not a reflex no and then hang up the phone. So when do you plan on moving? No. People don't do that. What do you think the number one response I get? Anybody? It's right there on the form, so you can literally read it off. Listen, most of the time people are going to say, hey, listen, I don't have any plans on moving, or I'm never moving. Never, ever. I'm never moving. That's perfectly fine. Hey, listen, I wouldn't move either. It's a wonderful neighborhood. How long have you lived in this wonderful neighborhood that you're never going to move from? Well, I've been here 5 years. And then all of a sudden you ask them a couple of qualifying questions, and the qualifying questions all of a sudden lead them to the fact that they understand now that they're motivated. Well, my wife wants to move. I never want to move, but she controls everything. So whenever she says we're going to move, I'm going to move, but I don't want to move. But you determine that motivation. And then once you get that motivation, right, they start asking you a question. What house was it? How much was it? Have an idea. Understand that you're trying to provide them with value. You're trying to illustrate that you're there to help solve problems. I know it's like an easy mindset to just go, well, I want more business. I want. Reframe that. How can you help solve their problems? How can you give them value and information? If you do that on an extended basis, I promise you, they will pay you back. If somebody really doesn't have any information or any motivation, that's fine too, right? If you go to the second page of that, it'll tell you how to convert them into your database, and then it's your responsibility to stay in touch with them. So you get to the end of the script, and they said no, and where would you go if you were to move? Where would you go next? I honestly, man, I appreciate the hustle, but I'm not going anywhere. I love this house. This is where we're going to be for a long time. That makes sense. I certainly understand that, right? A lot of your neighbors, though, now that the market is sort of coming out of the winter and going into the spring, we're expecting prices to continue to rise. They've asked me to just keep in touch with them once or twice a year, give them an update on the market, and be a resource of information, whether it be for them, friends, or family. What is the best email address for you so I can just keep you up to date with what's going on? Again, not what is your email address? No, I don't want to do that. Right? What's the best email address so that I can give you the information and provide help and serve you? Well, I don't really want spam in my email. I certainly get that. Would you mind if I gave you a call once or twice a year? You don't even have to answer the phone. If you don't have time, just let it go to voicemail. I'm happy to leave you an update on your phone. Would you mind if I gave you a call a couple times a year? And they're going to tell you. If they mind, then they say, I don't want you to call me. And that's okay. You're not looking for that person. If they really do mind, why don't you find it out now? Versus spending all of your time waiting for it, expecting business to come back to you. And then show appreciation. I don't care if they're rude. I don't care if they talk to you for more than 30 seconds. You should be sending your appreciation. You just called and interrupted their day. And they took the time to have a conversation with you. Listen, Pedro, I sincerely, I want to thank you for your time this morning. I know I called out of the blue and you took, like 5 minutes to have a conversation with me. I really do appreciate it. If there is ever anything that I can do for you, my office is right downtown Mansfield. Again, my name is Ben Esposito. I work with EXP, and I'd be honored to help you, friends, or family. Think about that ending versus what a lot of people do. Oh, you're not going to buy or sell? Fine, get out of here, right? And then they end the call. You are branding yourself with this style of calling. You're creating a brand for yourself within the town that you're working. If you're trying to build your business, every call that you have the opportunity to show appreciation, you should. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I really look forward to chatting with you in the future. Now, here's how you can multiply this, right? So either they want to do business with you, you move to the pre-qual. They know somebody that wants to do business. I'll go over in a minute, but I'm sending you a referral. Where is it? I'm sending you guys a referral script. So, hey, listen, somebody says, well, yeah, actually, I'm not looking to move, but my brother-in-law is actually considering it. My neighbor, my coworker. Great. What do you say at that point? How do you get their information? Because if you don't get any information and you don't do anything else, the odds that they actually send that person to you is very, very low. It requires them to take action. It requires that other person to receive the information and see value in it. And then it requires that person to take action to reach out to you. The odds are very, very low. So we're going to give you the referral script. I'll go over it when I go over the past client center of influence script. But here's the thing. To compound, I don't know, did anybody watch Seinfeld back in the day? I used to watch it, like my dad was obsessed with Seinfeld. My sister has this ability to say the entire episode, like regurgitate the entire episode. I'm terrible at that. I have terrible rote memorization. I can't remember anything. But one of the things, George Costanza was trying to get a date, And he had this theory that if he got in front of her and said Costanza like 3 times, that the odds of him getting a date would go up drastically. That's the same situation applies here. So Ben Esposito, right here in downtown Mansfield, spreading some neighborhood news. There's once, right? At the end of the call, well, listen, I so appreciate your time. I'm extremely grateful that you took your time today. Again, if you need anything, my name is Ben Esposito, and slow down. My name is Ben Esposito. I'm right in downtown Mansfield. I'm with EXP. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to give me a call. That's 2. You've got their address. Guess what you do after that? You send them a handwritten personal note. How many have you gotten this year? How many notes have you gotten in the mail? I guarantee you it's very, very few, if any, right? Handwrite a personal note. Hey, Pedro, it was great chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. Again, it was a pleasure getting to know you. I'll look forward to being a resource of information for you, friends, and family down the road. Put your business card in there, send it out to them in the mail. That's 3. If you get their email address, send them a video email. Not a, hey, thank you. A video email. Spend $300 on BombBomb, right? So now I'm leaving a message. Hey, Ashley, Ben Esposito, I just wanted to send you a quick video message so that you could put a face to the conversation that we just had. I want to send along my appreciation once again for your time today. And also just let you know that I really am here to be a resource of information for you, friends and family. If I can ever be of any service, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is directly below this message. Now that's 4. And then the next week, what I would do is I would follow up. So I'd at the end of my prospecting session, I'd have all these leads. I'd put them, give them my assistant, or I would input them. And then the following week, I would call them back. Hey, Ashley, Ben Esposito, no other purpose for my call today than to just confirm that you received my contact information that I sent over via email or the business card that I mailed to you. Oh yeah, we got it. So unless you have any other questions, I'll just let you go. Yeah, we don't have any other questions. Or, oh, it's so funny that you call me back. I was talking to somebody about you the other day and all of a sudden there's a lead. Right now, that's 5 touches. That's 5 opportunities. And think about the difference between you call through the neighborhood, you have a quick conversation, you don't say your name again, you don't mail them anything, you don't send them a video email, and you don't follow up. What are the odds that 6 months from now, they need somebody that they're just going to like, I'm good now. Yeah. Again, odds are very, very low. So what we're doing is we are engaging in activities that put us in front and have real estate conversations. We're doing the appropriate work, the extra steps to make sure that we're not only building up a good relationship, but we're building up referrals down the road. I can't tell you how many pieces of business I've gotten over the years that I get now from clients that I made an impression on 5 years ago. I listed a house last year from a woman I had one conversation with 5 years ago. And she said to herself, I never called her again. I don't remember why I didn't follow up with her, but I didn't. Maybe she just didn't want the emails or whatever. But she said, listen, if I ever need a real estate agent, I'm going to call Ben Esposito. And she did. 5 years later, last year, we sold a house. She called me and she said, hey, listen, you had a wonderful conversation with me 5 years ago. I remembered it. You were kind. You spread some information. You weren't pushy. And I told myself if I ever needed to sell real estate, I would. And I sold her parents' house. You're building that up with this. You're targeting a specific market that you want to increase your market share in. You're creating great relationships. You're building up your database. All of those things are extraordinarily valuable. It just takes action. So if you're interested in this, you have to get a dialer because hand dialing these numbers is not going to work. There's a bunch of different ones that you can get. RedX, it's theredx.com. There's Mojo. There's Vulcan dialer. There's a new dialer that my buddy set up in California. It's called the Enzo dialer. It's not quite as good for just listed and neighborhood calls, but they've got great numbers. There's a lot of resources, but you have to do a little bit of investment in this. Get a dialer. I used to dial 3 numbers at the same time. That's the only way that you can talk to 52 contacts a day. Now, all of this works on dialing, but if you really want to make some moves, if you really have it and you really want to stay committed, you should door knock. Use this same script. Just walk around the neighborhood. I promise you, people are so much nicer if you go to them in person. Ashley and Kristen are door knocking. What, Thursday? Yeah. They're going out. It's like 20 degrees up here in New England. They're going out. They'll have to wear like a parka, maybe snow boots, but they're going out because, again, motivated people love, aggressive salespeople. And guess what? People at their door are much more likely to be kind, but they're also much more likely to open the door versus just say ignore on the phone. This can work if you put enough time and intention into it. So before I move on, any questions for just listed, just sold, or neighborhood calls? Feel free to unmute. If you don't, I got more stuff to deliver.
Ben, I have a quick question.
Yes.
With the neighborhood calls, so you're calling about 50 a day. How would you mark the ones that you need to call back? I guess you would probably have to have a folder system or some kind of system to keep track of the ones that you want to call back. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of follow-up. Did you ever have any problems trying to put that together?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question, Robert. So two things. Number one is when I was prospecting, it was 52 contacts. So it was 52 conversations per day. I would generally need to call to have that many conversations, I would generally need to call like 200 to 400 households to talk to that many people. So I just want to give you really accurate, sort of expectations. It's a lot of numbers. And that's where the dialer comes in. So the dialer, depending on which one you use, I started with Vulcan and then I went to the Red X. They have a follow-up system built into their dialer, which is really good. I also, at the time, had an external CRM, a contact management software. So when I would do it, I would put really good leads into my CRM and set a follow-up within the CRM. But you could also use the dialer, depending on which dialer you choose. You could use the dialer to do that lead follow-up for you.
Okay, nice. Thanks.
And again, I would add them, and we're going to go over next the database and past client center of influence calls. I would just add them to the database and start calling them as if they were a past client once every quarter.
Okay, nice.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What did you say to people when when you first started out, you were calling on just sold listings that obviously weren't yours? And what if they call you out on that? Like they knew the agent who sold it and they know it wasn't you. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So let's just role play that because I want you to give me the worst case scenario, right?
Okay.
So let's go with when do you plan on moving?
Within the next year.
Terrific. Well, so typically speaking, and I want you to understand that out of 10,000 calls that I would get, I probably heard that objection 2 or 3 times a year.
So never.
So it's very, very rare. And because again, people have to pick up the phone, then they have to recognize that you're talking about the listing that their friend sold, and then they have to have sort of the confrontational style to challenge you in the moment that you're on that call. When you've caught them off guard, they have to then challenge you. I guarantee you maybe more people recognized it after we were off the call, but it was super, super rare. And if that came up, it was like, hey, listen, I understand, because I never said, when I would call on other people's listings, understand too that I am spreading some neighborhood news about a home that sold, not that I sold. You don't want to take credit for the listing, but You're just spreading neighborhood news about something that happened that is part of public record. And I've made a commitment to help 25 families this year buy or sell real estate. In order to do so, I want to make sure that everybody knows that there are a lot of really good, well qualified agents out there. Now, obviously, Betty Lou, who sold the home, she's a good friend of mine and she's a great agent. I want everybody to be able to have a couple of options in order to choose who really fits best for them. And if they get really pissed off, then I mean, people are, I'm on the do not call list and all this kind of stuff, which don't call people on the do not call list. But listen, I'm sorry. I apologize. I will make a note here and you will not receive another phone call from me again. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? All right. Let's go to past client. Sandy, did you drop the past client one in there? All right. So the past client center of influence script, by a show of hands, for those of you who are on, who are showing me your faces, how many people actually, and I want you to be honest for a minute, how many people actually are calling multiple times a year their past client and their center of influence, the people that they know on a routine basis? Anybody? Benny is. Ashley is, because I forced her to. So here's what I want you to guys to recognize. I heard, and I've told this story, I think, on Jess's prospecting group, but I was at a Mike Ferry event and I heard the wonderful John Sy, who's a great agent out of Canada. He was an inspiration to me because he was an analytical that I thought always kind of, it felt like our brains worked the same way. And I always envisioned that everything was really, really easy for him. And he was talking about just listed, just sold database calls. And he got up on stage and he said, every single time I make those calls, I start sweating and I'm super uncomfortable. I have to walk around and I don't like it at all. And I went, oh shit, he's just like me. I hate making those calls too. Do you know how uncomfortable it is calling the best man in your wedding who you're like, I'm friends with 8 guys and all they do is break my chops about selling real estate. We're at the beach. Where's your gold jacket, Ben? Right? I sell their house. I pick up dinner one night. Well, technically I paid for this. Right? Like they're like calling them and asking them for business. But one of my friends, probably the one that like was the most challenging person. He and his family, the people that have honestly $250,000, $300,000 worth of income to me from making those calls. It's uncomfortable. You don't, especially if you guys have been selling real estate for some time and you haven't called your clients since you closed like 3 or 4 years ago. It's going to be super uncomfortable. You're going to be like, well, I haven't stayed in touch. So there's an apology script. I can give it to you. Listen, Melissa, I wanted to give you a quick call. I know we worked together 4 or 5 years ago and I haven't done my job. I'll be honest with you. I got distracted by helping and serving other clients and I just really haven't committed to being a resource of information to the people that matter most in this community. But here in 2025, I really want to make a commitment to be that person for the people that have trusted me with selling their home in the past. And going forward, I'm going to make a commitment to make sure that I reach out once or twice a year to you, just to make sure that you're all set with real estate knowledge and information and that you have a resource for friends and family who might be in need of a professional real estate agent. Would that be okay? And if they say no, good riddance. But here's the thing. If you're not calling your past clients and the people that you know, you are arguably leaving. Like you could double your business this next year just calling those people. Like really, really, I can't stress this enough. How many people I would come across at these events that would prospect all day long, 4 or 5 hours a day, hammer the phones looking for new business. And then I'd be like, so how many people do you have in your database? And they're like, well, we got like 600, 700. I was like, how much business do you get from them? Do you call them like two times a year, 3 times a year, 4? Like how many times are you calling them? Oh, I don't call them. I go after expireds and for sale by owners. You don't call them? No, I don't like to. That makes me uncomfortable. so much business on the table. If that is the one thing that you take away, if you don't want to get a dialer and you don't want to call through neighborhoods, that was always more comfortable for me calling strangers versus people that I knew. But I did it 4 times a year. It's so important, guys. It like in no uncertain terms to give you guys. So Ashley, unmute.
Okay.
There. All right. So Ashley joined. Oh, we got a reverb. Come over here.
Yeah, okay.
She's sitting right next to me. So pay attention to this. Ashley, I started working with Ashley about a year ago. So Ashley, how many people do you have in your database
From last year or this year?
from last year?
159.
Can people hear her? All right.
Oh, God.
So 100, Ashley's wildly uncomfortable. So 159 people in her database, and you started calling. How many times did you connect or did you cycle through that database last year?
We'll say 3.
3 times last year.
Everyone definitely heard from me twice.
Okay. Out of 159 people, how many closed pieces of business did that create for you last year? Closed.
Are these my notes?
Mhm. Mhm.
Closed business is 8 sales, 6 buyers.
Okay.
So what's that? 14.
So eight sales, and what you told me earlier, which
Yeah.
I'll remind you, is 6 buyers and 3 sellers directly from those calls.
Yep, because then other business came from the calls.
So 8 closed pieces of business, and then 9 prospects, 3 listings that she's taking, and then 6 buyers who haven't purchased yet. Now, out of the closed pieces of business, at those 8 sales, how many more pieces of business did that create?
So like for prospects this year,
Yep.
I have 3 more sellers that I'm working with, and then another 6 to 8 buyers.
Right. So we're talking like, guys, understand she has 168 people in her database, or 159, 59, right? Which is how many now?
213.
213 in her database. That has resulted in 8 closed pieces of business last year. She has an additional 9 from the direct calls. And then from the pieces of business that she got and closed, she's created another 8 transactions from that. From calling on her database. She used to give me the first day that she called, she was awesome. She called me, she'd be like, "You're never going to guess what happened." I went, "Yeah, I will." Right? I promise you, call these people. Ashley is like 10 to 15% of the size of your database will return on closed business and future business if you start calling them right off the bat. Thank you.
Cool, I can do that.
Yeah. But as uncomfortable as she is standing right here, that's not how uncomfortable she was starting the calls. It's super uncomfortable, guys, but it is so drastically important. It's where all of your business can come from. So let's go into the script. Again, I say this and I mean this. The goal of this is to provide massive value to your clients. You want to be a resource of information for them. You want to give them something tangible, something that they can take away. If you give them a piece of knowledge that they can take away, arguably for the next couple of weeks, if they have a real estate conversation, now they have some knowledge to pass along to somebody else. And guess what that does? That creates a real estate conversation where they have the opportunity to mention your name. Give them something. You're calling and interrupting their day. Provide some value. And then remember that you're a salesperson. You have to ask for business because they're not in the business of thinking that that's what they're supposed to do. You call somebody who's not a salesperson, who works like a desk job, and you just chat with them, they don't ever think, "Oh, I should think about my brother who's thinking about moving." How many times do I ask, "Well, do you know any friends or family members that are considering buying or selling real estate in the next 3 to 6 months?" "Oh, well, come to think of it, who do you know that's looking about?" "Well, let me think." You have to ask for the business. If you just have a casual conversation, yes, making a connection, making a touch is valuable, but they're never going to think about it. They're not salespeople. They don't think like we do. And arguably, you guys don't think like that either. People have conversations that are in businesses that you could potentially refer, and you don't think like that, and you're in sales. You have to ask for the business. So here's how it goes. If you feel uncomfortable, this first line is going to be hard, but it'll make it easier. So I would make the call and I'd say, "Hey Jess, it's Ben Esposito over at EXP. How are you?" "Good. How are you?" "I'm great." Now you can go in one of two directions. You can go in a personal call or you can go in a business call. Hard to go in both. And one is really, really long and doesn't ever get into business. And the other one is a business call and doesn't waste that person's time. Why don't you just tell them why you're calling? Right? Because pretending that you're calling to check in with little Jimmy and his skateboard accident that you saw on Facebook, it's disingenuous. You're calling to get business, unless you're really calling, in which case just have a personal conversation with them. If you're calling for business, "Hey Jess, Ben Esposito over at EXP. This is a business call. Do you have a moment for me?" Immediately it switches their mindset. Ben is a business person. He's a professional. He's calling me. I'm going to pay attention. "This is a business call. Do you have a moment for me?" "Sure, Ben. What's going on? How can I help?" How can I help? Now they're in the mode. How can I help you? I want to help you. I like you. You did a great job for me. You're friends. You're my neighbor, whatever it might be. Well, listen, as you know, I study homes and prices every single day. And here's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that coming out of the 2024 real estate season, we all expected interest rates to be lower now than they were 6 months ago. That hasn't been the case. But what I am starting to see is that motivated buyers are starting to come out of the woodwork early here in the winter because they don't want to miss out because they expect inventory to be really, really low. It's going to present a great opportunity, not only for buyers to take advantage right now, but also sellers as they start to prepare their home. They're going to want to be first on the market. So I was calling today to find out who you know that might be in this situation and in need of my help. The longer the pause, the better. Well, actually, nobody comes to mind. No problem. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to think about it. Tell me, have you considered investment, a move yourself? No, we're really happy where we are. Well, listen, I can't blame you. I mean, the neighborhood has been great. We have a couple of other clients that moved in years ago and they feel the same way. Now, listen, before I let you go, do you have any questions about what's going on with the real estate market? Do you have any needs, service professionals, anybody else that I can help connect you with that could possibly, just be beneficial while we've got this call going? Well, I was curious about this. I need this. I have an electrician. I'm providing value. Well, I know a great electrician. He's a great guy, takes care of my clients all the time. So he's puts them at the top of the priority list. I'll send you his information. Would that be helpful? Sure would. And then appreciation. Listen, Jess, I'm so grateful for clients like you. It's because of clients like you that last year I was able to help 65 families buy or sell real estate. I really value our relationship and I appreciate you taking the 5 or 10 minutes that we've had today on the phone. Thank you so much. And tell you what, I'll make sure to give you a call during the spring market just to give you an update on what's going on. You're establishing yourself as a resource. You're being a professional. You're telling them that it's a business call. You're making sure that they're aware that they should be thinking about friends and family and coworkers and neighbors as a referral source for you. And in the sense that if they're motivated, then they're excited that you gave them a call. Ben, we've been thinking about it, and Colleen has been getting sick of the size of the house. Obviously, we didn't plan to be here this long, but interest rates are really preventing us from like proactively making a move. Yeah, I understand. So it sounds like if the situation was right and the finances made sense, that getting a new home would be beneficial for you guys, but there's a couple of things that might be preventing you from taking advantage. Is that right? I go, yeah. All right. Well, why don't I do this? I don't mind. Would it be helpful if I came over and just gave you an accurate view of how much your home is worth? Now, while I'm there, I can just give you a better understanding of what you would need to do in order to get your home ready for sale. And then at the same time, I can discover a little bit more about what you guys are looking for as far as the purchase of your next home. And we can figure out whether or not a move makes sense right now. But either way, even if it ends up not being something, at least you have all of the information that can allow you guys, you and Colleen, to make an educated decision about what you want. Does that sound fair? Sure. Come on over. Well, before I come out, let me ask you a number of questions so I can be as prepared as possible, and then just prequal. And even if, listen, the Mike Ferry way is like you don't go out on an appointment unless they're ready to list in 7 to 10 days. Okay. If you're doing 60 deals a year and you don't have time, then pre-qualify. Set a stricter schedule. I never did that. If somebody was willing to let me come out to the house, and again, this is geographically, I'm 5-10 minutes. So I'm not driving an hour to go do, to have a sit down with an unmotivated person. But if it's in my hometown, I'm going to go out and I'm going to give them an hour of my time because I know that will pay off. You have to make a decision about what you qualify as a lead and what you want to spend time on. For me and the way that I did business, this was valuable to establish a really good relationship and show that I care and I'm willing to give them the time that I have, regardless of whether they're going to sell or not. Now, this wasn't for everybody. This is people that are in my database, people that I'm calling and disrupting their day, people that are taking the time to think about, people that they know looking to buy or sell. I'm going to give them my time. You can determine what you want to do, but this is why even after I stopped prospecting 4 years ago, I'm still cranking out 60 to 70 deals a year and making $1 million because the value that I've provided to them in the past, plus I'll touch on, it's not like I'm ignoring them now. I just don't have the time to call everybody 4 times a year, but I'm providing them value now. I'm providing the town that I live in immense value, sponsorships, community events, social gatherings, right? I've changed now that I've gotten here. This is what I'm doing to pivot to get my time back. But you can build a business that returns an immense amount of value back to you. Put the value out there, it will come back to you. I promise. So in this script, there's a new agent intro. If you're a newer agent on this call and you feel uncomfortable, there's a new agent script. It just goes along the same lines, right? I wanted to share some exciting news. I've switched careers and I've started selling real estate. In doing so, I've made a commitment to my friends, family, and our community to be a trusted resource of real estate information and support. Now, listen, I wanted to reach out, Pedro, because I wanted to see if you would mind if I reached out a few times a year just to give you an update on the market, right? And check in with you to see if you've bumped into anybody that might be interested in my services. So how do you find out who those people are? Everybody should pick up their phone and look at the number of contacts that they have in their phone. Where's my phone? Oh, my phone's on thing. You remember when you used to go to Verizon when you change a phone and then they'd have to transfer your contacts before they went over? The people at Verizon would always be like, oh my God, dude, you have so many contacts in your phone. Every one of you look at your phone. I talked to somebody a little while ago. She might even be on this call, but I made her bring up her phone. She didn't know who to call. And I was like, bring up your phone. And she had like 800 people in her phone. I was like, I don't care if half of those don't live in the area or they're from high school and you don't know them anymore, or like they're an ex and you would never call them with a gun to your head. Like, I don't care if half of those people, you still have 400 people. Look at what Ashley did with 158 contacts. She did 8 closings last year and she has like 15 to 17 more deals that are going to come this year. We were going over her goals and literally her prospects right now. I made her increase her goals, but her prospects that she has right now will satisfy her goals. She's still going to call them because it's going to create future business. It's going to create value. It's going to provide to her clients exactly what she promised them that she would do. It doesn't have to be a huge number. So go through your phone. In that script on the last page, you can create this database using this. These are just triggers for you guys to think about, right? Lenders, in-laws, financial people, daycare workers, hairstylist, pharmacist. Like, so I don't know. I don't think, let me just see. I don't think my mom is on the call. I was going to tell a funny story. So I used to be a secret agent. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. Jess had the opportunity to meet my mom down at EXPCon too. That was a great video that you posted the other day. Thank you for that. So one day I'm talking to her on the phone and I got that old, Playtronics Bluetooth headset. For anybody that's known me, I had that for a very long time until everybody in my team started making fun of me because it looked like I was like a 1980s salesperson. But Chrissy knows that Playtronics thing, right? And it came down in my ear and I was talking to my mother and I was going in to pick up my dry cleaning because I used to be really uncomfortable about coming out of the house with anything but a full suit on. So I went to go pick up my dry cleaning and it's the one right at the Rotary in Foxborough. And I used to go in there every single day and I never once had a conversation about real estate. I was a secret agent. I was better off in my office cold calling and prospecting people. So I go into the dry cleaner to pick up the phone and I'm talking to my mother and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to pick up my dry cleaner. Just hang on. I didn't put her on mute, anything else. And while I'm in there, I'm having a great conversation with her and all this kind of stuff. And the entire time, my mother is in my ear going, hey, ask her if she knows anybody looking to buy or sell real estate. Hey, ask her, do it. And I literally turned to her at one point and the woman didn't even know I was on the phone. I turned to her and I was like, Mom, if you don't shut up, I'm going to hang up on you. But that's the level of like fear that I had about like being a salesperson, being what I thought was like pushy. But it's not. If you come from a standpoint of providing value, if you are the real estate expert and you believe that you're the best option for people to choose to help buy or sell real estate, then it is your obligation to make sure that people are aware that you're available for them. So you can blend a real estate conversation in any time, right? You're at the dry cleaners. Oh man, I spilled this on myself the other day before I went out to take a listing over on Banana Road, right? It's shameless, right? Spill coffee on yourself and then tell the story at the dry cleaner. These are the things that you can do, and that'll get into the local activities in about like 5 or 10 minutes when we go over this, but create your list. You have no excuses. If you're a professional real estate agent, you're looking to increase your business, you need to determine the people that you're going to communicate with. The number of real estate conversations that you have every day will be a direct correlation to how much money you're going to make in no uncertain terms. In here, so here's my thoughts. If your past clients and center of influence, there's a list of value add conversations that we included for you. So it can go from anything, right? If I listed a house in West Mansfield, I used to call everybody in West Mansfield and just tell them about the listing. Even if I talked to them like 2 or 3 weeks ago, hey, Chrissy, it's Ben. I know we just chatted, but I just wanted to, as a commitment to the sellers, I just wanted to spread the word about the home that we just listed around the corner. I know you might see it when I email you, but I just wanted to check in, make sure you don't know anybody that wants to move into the neighborhood. You can spread the news about a community event, a local event. You can talk about home prices, interest rates, inventory levels. You can do a just sold call to them. You can offer concierge services. I have a network of contractors and builders and service professionals that have made a commitment to me to take care of my clients. So if you're ever in need, a handyman, a carpenter, a landscaper, I am your resource. You don't have to go out and just, experiment. There's so much value that you can add. If they find somebody or if they know somebody that is looking to buy or sell, there's also a referral questionnaire. So I know Betty Lou, who's looking to sell. What do most people say? If they have a referral for you, well, let me check in with Betty Lou just to make sure it's okay that I pass along her information. Again, it goes back to that thing that I said at the beginning. The odds that they reach out with no accountability, the odds that they relay the information properly and accurately, The odds that Betty Lou receives that information and hears it accurately and then proactively reaches out to you. Think about the sequence of events that needs to take place and go exceptionally well for somebody to go, yeah, well, I'll talk to Betty Lou and I'll give her your information. Has anybody on this call ever heard somebody say that and never hear from the Betty Lou? Just me? All right, maybe it was just me. But that's the thing. So here, listen, there's ways that you can increase the odds. There are ways that you can help make it easier for your past client, for your center of influence, for the person that's referring you to the business. You can make it easier on them. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to push them to try to get the information. So you just ask them, great, what is the best number for me to give Betty Lou a call? Not what is her phone number, but what is the best telephone number for me to reach her? Do you have their email address handy? If they push back and they're firm on, listen, I want to check in. I don't want to give her information out. I feel uncomfortable doing that. Listen, I certainly understand that, right? But there's a script for that too. Can I make a suggestion? Here's what I'd like to do. I don't mind at all. Let me send you a quick email or a text message with my contact information, a short video that you can forward to them. If you feel comfortable, you're welcome to copy me on it. But either way, just forward it along. It'll make it nice and easy for you to send my information. Now, what have you done? You've provided them with a very, very easy way to connect you with Betty Lou. You've asked them and given permission to copy you, which they likely will on the referral. And then you've got their email address or then you've got their text message. But if nothing else, now you're relaying the information. Now Betty Lou is at least receiving the information in the way that you intended it to be received. So it cuts out your referrer and the way that they present it. Now you send bomb. You send a video. Hey, Betty Lou, first of all, thank you so much for your time today on the call. I really appreciate it. And for sending the information to Joe about his potential real estate move. Joe, if you're watching this video, I just wanted to send along my contact information, let you know that with no obligation or commitment, I'm really happy to just jump on a discovery call, 5 or 10 minutes, just to give you all of the information that you need in order to make a decision about what's best for you. Now, whether that's to move or not to move, or whether that's to use another agent, or if it makes sense for us to work together, either way, I appreciate your time. I'm really grateful of our relationship, Betty Lou, and thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. You've cut out a lot of the problems and the troubles about relaying the information, your information, and the value that you can provide in the way that you want it relayed. If you can't do it personally, make it easy for that person. And nobody's going to say, if they say, hey, listen, I know Joe, but I want to just make sure it's okay if I pass along his information. No problem at all. Would you mind if I sent you a video? They're not going to say no, because it's going to be easier for them to like forward that or a text message and send it both ways. And then follow up, right? Create some accountability. Great. Betty Lou, do you feel like you might be able to send that? If I send you that email towards the end of the day, do you think you'll be able to do that tonight or tomorrow morning? Terrific. Well, great. So if I don't hear from you or the referred party, I forget what I said his name was, but if I don't hear from you or John before, I'll just follow up with you on Friday just to make sure I didn't miss anything and see if John did reply to you and needs my help. Now you've created accountability. Now they're going to forward it. They know that you're going to call on Friday, so they're going to actually try to get a response because they've committed to do so. You've given the information that you need to make it easy to relay the information accurately. The odds that then you get to connect with that person that they're referring goes through the roof. It goes from like 10% to like, I don't know, like 70, 80%. It's a massive, massive difference. And then appreciation, like overwhelming appreciation. Send them a handwritten personal note. Betty Lou, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you mentioning my name. I don't care whether it works out or it doesn't. You should send them an appreciation gift. We use, what's that company called? We use Greetable. So anytime somebody refers me a business, I just yell out my door. I'm like, Sandy, send so and so a Greetable. It's like 30 to 40 bucks. And it comes in a nice little package and it says, hey, listen, we really appreciate our relationship. Thank you so much. It's just a gesture. If they refer you a lot of business, do something really nice for them. Get them a huge gift card to a restaurant. Call them back and update them about the referral. Hey, listen, I met with John. He ended up going with another real estate agent, a good friend of his. But regardless, I just really appreciate that you took the time to pass along my information. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to give John some perspective on what different agents do. And I want you to know that regardless of how things work out, I simply appreciate your time and commitment to helping me. Or it worked out. Holy shit, we just closed on John's house. Thank you so much. It's because of clients like you that I'm going to be able to hit my goal this year. People want to root for you. They want you to do well. You have to communicate that you appreciate it. You have to communicate that you're doing what you said you're going to do, that you are the professional in the industry. Be that professional. With past client center of influence calls, here's the thing on voicemails. I wouldn't suggest it if you're starting to call. I would call them 3 or 4 times. If they don't pick up, then perhaps leave a message at that point. If you're routinely calling them 3, 4 times a year, which honestly, during my best years, I would average about 3. It was very rare that I was diligent enough to call everybody 4 times a year, but I generally did 3, which was way more than most. But if you're calling somebody, you talked to them 3 months ago, they don't pick up, I understand. Hey, listen, here's a voicemail. Hey, Pedro, it's Ben over at EXP. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, whatever it is, spring, summer, vacation, if you knew they were going on vacation, right? As your real estate resource, I just wanted to share some news about what's going on with the real estate market right now. Give them 10 seconds. We're noticing that home prices are jumping up drastically. With the spring right ahead, there's an incredible opportunity for those of you who are looking to take advantage of the market and really sell for top dollar. If you're curious to learn a little bit more, or if you, friends or family members, might be in need of a professional real estate agent, don't hesitate to call me. I'm always here to help. Thank you so much for listening to the voicemail. I'll look forward to connecting with you sometime down the road. That's it. Even better, record a video. Send them a video bomb. Or you keep note of all the people you just left a voicemail to and send them the update via email at the end of the day. Same day, don't wait. Same day, send one video to everybody that you didn't get a hold of. Hey, Sandy, Ben Esposito. I know I left you a voicemail, or just make it general, right? Hey, everybody. I wasn't able to connect with you guys today, but I wanted to give you a little bit more information. If you're interested, here's more details on what I was talking about. Now you're the resource. You're providing value. You're following up. That's 2 contacts, 2 connections in one day. Also, just a side note, make a note of this. If you're calling a husband and wife, call them both, but call them 6 weeks apart. I can't tell you how many times I'd have a conversation with like the husband. I'd call the wife and she's like, Ben, I'm in the car with John. I just heard the entire conversation. So then I would play around. I'd be like, all right, so let me go through it again, see how I do this time. Right? And I'd say the whole conversation again, just joking around with them. But again, everybody is looking to be a resource for you. Everybody's looking to just have some fun. Make it fun, provide some value, and make sure you make these calls. So leaving a voicemail, newer agents, there's a script for you guys. If you don't get a hold of people, you can leave this voicemail. For routine quarterly calls, there's voicemail suggestions as well. So past client, center of influence calls, questions. Jess, you said, and I know she might be on a call right now, but she said Southerners have a lot of trouble with the perception of being labeled pushy. I wonder if that's anybody else Southern and feel that way. I don't see anybody else saying yes, but listen, I think what you have to do is you have to figure out what works for you and your market, right? I think if you're coming from a place of contribution, if you're delivering value, if you're, being a resource of information and you're friendly, I think people are going to pick up on that. I think if you're demanding, I think if you're, trying to, only go into it for you, I think that will stink. Like they'll be able to pick up on that. But try stuff out. This is what worked for me in New England. It may or might not work for you, but this was not the script that was delivered to me on a silver platter at the Mike Ferry organization when I started making these calls. But I adapted over time. I found out what was comfortable for me. I adjusted things. The way that, he tells people to make these quarterly calls was not something that I was comfortable with.
Ben, did you lean towards the Mike Ferry listing presentation, or did you use another type of presentation?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think that when I was newer, I definitely did the Mike Ferry script verbatim. Like I probably haven't done it in 6 years, but I could probably say it verbatim right now. I think that what I've done over time is I've adjusted to have more of a conversational style to it, but I also don't, because of the business that I've created, I also don't compete as much. Like if you're going out on an expired call or if you're competing for a for sale by owner or a probate lead, that sort of thing, I think you have to have a more definitive script. A lot of the business that I've created right now, they call me and ask me to come out, and it's a different conversation. It's not that I don't have a script, it's just more of a personalized conversation between me and them. So I think it depends on who the prospect is. I would always have a definitive script because you want to be a professional. I do think that the Mike Ferry script and I know Aaron Novello's script is slightly different and a lot of us are associated with him. He has a great script too. I think what you have to do is you have to define your script. Most people go, well, I'm going to take bits and pieces of this, bits and pieces of that, and then but they never really define it, they never practice it, it's never internalized. So if you are going to personalize what you do as far as a listing presentation, then be a professional and write it all out, memorize the script, know the cadence, know exactly where you're going and why, be able to answer an objection concisely and definitively. It's really easy to just use somebody else's. It's extraordinarily hard to come up with your own. So if you're confident in what you're doing, develop it over time and then you can sort of create your own. But otherwise, I would stick with whatever script, you're learning or have learned to make sure that you're hitting all of those points.
Yeah,
That
I'm
makes sense?
going over Aaron's listing presentation now.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I'm going over Aaron's listing presentation.
Yeah. And again, Aaron is one of the best technician when it comes to like a script that I've ever seen. Like watching him present is like a master class. That is, I've never been able to sort of master that definitive. Like my presentations would sometimes be like my coach used to yell at me all the time. I'd be out at the house like an hour and a half having a conversation. But that's also sort of like I'm an analytical, so I like to talk, especially if I'm in a comfortable situation. I also just like I enjoyed a little bit more than I let myself admit. I used to say, I hate small talk. But then I'd get out and I'd small talk with people for like 45 minutes. But that was okay with me. I think what you have to do is you have to just define what you're comfortable with and recognize in the moment that you're in what you're doing. Reflect on your listing presentation, Robert. If you go out and you try a Mike Fury presentation and it works or it doesn't, spend 5 or 10 minutes afterwards and just take notes about what works and what doesn't. Over time, you're going to determine the things that are really impactful and the things that aren't, and the things that you naturally go into. So you're going to divert from the Mike Fury script on the same thing all the time. Well, then make that intentional and make that the intention of the direction that you go. And if you're not having success, then that's the evidence that you need to go back to the script.
All right. Good advice. Good advice. By the way, I'm right next to you. I'm over in Connecticut. So if you guys have any folks moving over to Connecticut,
Nice. Whereabouts in Connecticut?
the New Haven area, that's my home.
Nice. My grandparents from Beacon Falls down there.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Awesome. Yeah.
anyway, anybody else questions on past client center of influence script? Man, time flies when I talk. All right, so let me touch on the third part of my business, which was like networking, local activities, all of that kind of stuff. So again, this is where you guys just need to be honest and notice in the moment whether or not there's opportunities. I worked out at CrossFit from 2013 to when I blew out my shoulder in 2020. So I was there 7 or 8 years, and I used to go to the gym. Before kids, it was like 6 days a week. When I had kids, it was less, but I was still there 5 days a week. And I created relationships with people that I'm spending an hour a day with, usually the same class. I would go there on weekends and we'd warm up together and we'd spend a half an hour talking before the workout. And I knew more about them than I knew a lot about my family. My like default was not to talk about real estate because I didn't want to be perceived as a pushy salesperson, as a salesperson. So I never really talked about it. But even not talking about it would lead to business. But what I started to do, and over time, when I got more confident in my skills and what I was doing, is that I would find out their information and I would start making business calls because it was easier to have a conversation with them, not in a setting where other people were around, unless it was brought up casually, which again, you can sort of you can create a real estate conversation just casually if you're intentional about it. But I used to collect their information, and it was really uncomfortable to call a guy that I work out with all the time, that I have a great relationship with him, and say, "Hey, Ian, listen, I know we work out every day, but I wanted to give you a quick call, have a real estate conversation. Do you have a minute for me?" And every single time I went and was uncomfortable and pushed myself to do that, every single time that person was like, "Yeah, Ben, what can I do for you? How can I help you?" We have this perception that they're going to hate the fact that we talk about our businesses. But the reality is, we don't hate that when other people do it. If somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, listen, I'm starting a new business. I'm opening up a gym. I'm like a chiropractor and I'm going to go out on my own and I'm starting up my own business." Do we then go, "Oh my God, they're salesy. Get the hell away from me"? No, we're like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Tell me more about it. How can I help?" That's how people throughout the community, that's how the woman at the laundromat, that's how she'll respond. But what do? We tell ourselves this story that they're going to be upset, that we don't want to do it, that we're uncomfortable, that we don't want to "Oh, they're really busy. They're really busy, so they don't want to hear from me." Or you call them once and they don't pick up, and you go, "Well, that's because they saw my number and they don't want to talk to me and they know it's going to be about real estate, and I don't no, I'm never going to call them again." Meanwhile, they got 15 people at the counter. They look at your phone. They're like, "Oh man, I'd love to talk to him about real estate. My brother's looking to move, but I can't do it right now." And they put it down and then they forget, because that's what happens in life. And if you never call them back, you're never going to find out. When you go to a networking event, when you go to a BNI event, if anybody's involved in BNI, my mother's been involved in the same BNI for 25 years. She's one of the longest BNI members, in BNI. She routinely gets 6 to 8, 10 transactions a year from this networking. But here's what I'll tell you about networking, especially if it's after hours drinks type of thing. First of all, don't drink. Just grab a cocktail. Don't put alcohol in it. You're going to act stupid. I say that from personal experience. All right. Second thing, the goal of a networking event is to create a relationship where you can continue that outside of the networking event. So you create a relationship at a business networking after hours, a chamber of commerce event, something like that, right? You identify the people that you can help and serve, and you identify people that are willing to go grab a coffee with them, grab lunch, create a relationship with them, add them to the database, and then call them 4 times a year. And arguably, if they're in a referral business, I'd call them even more. If you refer them business, if you deal with a contractor, a landscaper, and you send them business 2, 3, 5 times a year, call them once a month and tell them why you're calling. Tell them why you're doing that. My landscaper, John, I put him in touch with like 50 homeowners. My cleaner, my house cleaner cleans my office. Sound? What? Oh, no. Oh, so Ashley's probably the only one in my office. She's probably cleans 75 houses because of me, right? I, Call her and just tell her what you're doing. Hey, listen, Rosa, I wanted to give you a call. You're one of my preferred vendors, and obviously you've done such amazing work for my clients and for myself. We're so appreciative of that. What I'd like to do going forward is just connect with you for 5 or 10 minutes once a month. The purpose of the call is just to give you a little bit of insight about what's going on in real estate right now, so that if you're in the position to have a conversation and you feel comfortable and confident that I could be of service to one of your clients, friends, or family, I'd like to just be able to continue that relationship. What's she going to say? No? He going to say no? You're providing immense value to them and you're telling them that I want to share information and value to you in the hopes that I can help and serve your clients, and they're going to say no? Of course they're going to say yes. They're going to be like, yeah, Ben, call me once a month. And then you call them once a month. Hey, here's what's going on with the real estate business. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate? Oh, by the way, thank you again for taking care of so-and-so and helping them out. Add them to your database. 158 people in their database. It's like 25 deals for Ashley. 8 that have already closed last year. 15 to 20 that will happen this year for calling them 3 times. Add people to your database. Imagine Ashley had a database 500 people big. And all of you people know 200 people that you can call. Stop pretending you don't. Look at your phone. You have 200 people that you call. And if you're not doing 15, 20, 25 listings a year, if you're not doing that volume, then you have time. You have time to get out there and find other people to add to your database. This is how you do it. Recognize in the moment that you're in the opportunity that you have. People at the gym, service professionals, the mailman. Think about the impact that you could have helping them. Don't think about it selfishly. If you're really good and you believe in what you do, then you should be putting your name out there to make sure that other people know that you're available. It is your responsibility. Lean into being uncomfortable. That's the name of the game. Be uncomfortable all the time. Number 1, you'll get more comfortable with it. Number 2, you'll get more business. At the end of this month, if everybody on this call does some of what we're talking about here and increases their business, just envision yourself, like close your eyes and think about the end of the month, and you've got a buyer that's under contract, and you've got a listing coming on the market, and you've got 3 or 4 other prospects that are going to list between February and March. And all of a sudden you're on to a right path and you're motivated and enthusiastic, and you know that your bills are going to be paid, or you're going to be able to invest in this. Like, envision what that looks like. The reason that people don't normally do that, the reason that they don't have success, is because they're not willing to push themselves to be uncomfortable. They're not willing to come onto a call like this and learn and grow. You're already here. The stuff is right here for you. Add people to your database. Make the commitment to get a dialer and call people. So I'm going to touch on lead follow-up. Lead follow-up is amazing to me that people don't do it. Couple of tips, write these down. Whatever people tell you as your timeline, cut it in half and call them back. So if people say, hey, listen, you know what? Why don't you give me a call in 3 months? Call them back in 6 weeks. Provide tremendous value. So if somebody says, hey, listen, I'm considering about selling like next year. Hey, listen, Chrissy, would you find any value if I just did a quick market analysis for you, dropped it off? No commitment or obligation, but just, give you a sense of where your home's value is today, so that in a year when you're ready, you'll understand the change in the market. Somebody's like, well, I'm thinking about buying, but we got to wait until I transfer my new job. Start hunting. Well, what kind of home are you looking for? If you've got buyers that are just casual buyers and you're not super busy, you should be calling them once a week and providing a house. I know you have them set up in an automatic email, but call them once a week. See anything out there? I know you can't buy for another 3 months, but I just want you to know the level of commitment that I have for you and the better understanding of of my understanding of what you like and what you don't like will help us in 3 months. It confirms that relationship. We can send you out to open houses at any time. You're aware that you're welcome to go out just to get a better understanding of what the market is like. There's 2 open houses this weekend. Here's the one on Banana Road and one on Strawberry Daiquiri Lane. Provide value to the people when you follow up with them. They're going to tell you a timeline way out in the future, cut in half. They're either going to not answer, or when you call them, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, thank you for calling. Our timeline has moved up. Keep track of them in a database and set a follow up. So you have a conversation with them, set a follow up, have it pop up as a task whenever you need to call them, and then go in every day and look at the tasks of stuff that you have to do. Be diligent. You've worked so hard to find these leads. Then you put them in your, like, behind you, and you forget about them and you go out and look for other leads. And then you get them and you put them behind you and you go out and you find other leads. You got a whole book of business right behind you. Pay attention to those people, provide value to them. They will pay off. Questions on lead follow-up? Oh, handwritten personal notes too. Send those like almost every time. They're super easy. You just get them printed at like, where do we get them? At Vistaprint. It's like short money. Just your name right at the top. I used to, like, when I wasn't creative, Chrissy knows this. I love that she's on the call, but it used to just be in like block letters because I thought I was professional. It used to be like Ben Esposito Real Estate. That's all. I didn't even have a logo back in the day. Just my contact information on the back. All right. Hey, Chrissy, thanks so much for taking the call today. Thanks so much for, signing up for our newsletter. Thank you. Right? Handwritten personal notes matters. So all of this to say, with the last 15 minutes, this is my true intention going forward, is to be able to provide value to all of you in the community in general. I have noticed that over time, I've worked at Remax for 15 years. I went to Compass and got sold by them, which I had to pay a lot of money to get out of that contract to come over to EXP. And the reason that I did, I want everybody to understand, there is so much value here as far as just, earning a large percentage of your commission and having a commission that caps. But I think what EXP has provided the opportunity for us to look at is they're testing out what is called distributed leadership. They're looking at agents like Jess and saying, hey, listen, you have such a tremendous knowledge of how to help other real estate agents. What we want to do is we want you to share all of your information to help and serve other agents. And in doing so, we're going to give you a very small percentage in perpetuity of the money that's brought in from the people that you attract to the company, so that you can pull out of real estate if you so choose and just help and serve other agents. And the only way to do that back in the day, 30 years ago, if I was me, I would open Esposito Realty Group. I'd have agents come and work for me. I'd stop selling real estate. I'd pour into them. I'd help them grow and serve other people, and I'd take 40 to 50% of their commission. But what has happened over time, and I don't blame them because I was one of them, I want all my commission as the agent. So I go to Remax and I got 95%. And then people go to Keller Williams and they go to EXP. But what happens there is that the ownership, the brokerage, is disincentivized to really pour into those people because there's a disproportionate relationship. If I really help and serve like these people, I can only help a certain amount. And as soon as they're qualified and ready to go, they leave our company. And as soon as I saw this opportunity, because I was ready, I have spent the vast majority of my adult life selling real estate. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and training and learning and putting myself in uncomfortable situations. I hated going to events. Oh my God, I hated going to events. I am so uncomfortable. I would go to the hotel, I would put on my suit, I'd wait in my chair because I didn't want to get down there too early because then I'd be forced to have conversations and be uncomfortable. And then I wouldn't know where to sit. And then I wouldn't know what to do for dinner, and I wasn't outgoing enough. And fortunately there were some wonderful people that were like, Ben, why don't you come to dinner with us, because I know you're not going to ask us to go to dinner, so why don't you come along with us? But I put myself in those uncomfortable situations because I wanted to learn and grow. And I was afforded such a wonderful opportunity to start with my mother in real estate and get exposed to Mike Ferry at an early age, that I was able to start at 18, at 26 years old. When I got back into real estate, I was able to start getting exposure to wonderful people. We as a community of agents, not so much brokers. I know that there are a lot of good brokers out there. I know that there's a lot of people that really want to help and serve other people. But we as a community got away from sharing the value of what we can provide to other people. We got away from it because there was no incentive. So for me at a Remax office, there was no incentive for me to stop producing $1 million worth of real estate every year and spend days producing this content and spending time out of my schedule to help and serve other people outside of me just being a good person. But it was at the sacrifice of building my future and helping my family. But now with the opportunity that we have, I just want you to be aware that there are wonderful, wonderful people that are looking to help and serve other people, other agents. And whether that's somebody like me, whether that's somebody like Jess, whether that's at another company like Real or one of the other rev share models, I don't care. That opportunity is out there to connect and collaborate with people, to receive real tangible value from people that do it all the time. I am selling real estate as we speak. I'm not I'm not bullshitting you guys about the business that just comes in. And I'm finally got to the point in my life where I'm confident enough to be able to share that I'm comfortable being uncomfortable being in this situation. I've worked a long time in this career, and that is my goal and passion at this point in my life, is to help and serve other real estate agents to grow their careers. And in doing so, in partnering with us, you get all of that value, proximity, and access. And if you're not at the point that you can conceptualize that and overcome that hurdle, I get it. I ignored it for a couple of years. I turned a blind eye to it. I tried to fight it as much as possible. Aaron Novello will tell you this also. But just stay connected. We do these events once a month. Most of the time they're in person, but we're going to be live streaming them in the future. I know Jess is an amazing resource. She has so much value to add too. There's other leaders at this organization that are tremendous. If you feel like we can be of value, if you want to learn a little bit more about what we do here at EXP, I'm more than happy to set an appointment with you. Just go on my website. You can follow my social media channels. Lauren Lashway, who is just an amazing, wonderful human being. Her and I are starting to do a podcast, 50-60% about real estate, 50-60% about random crap that we end up coming up with, because we always have really enjoyable conversations. So it's a little bit entertaining, a little bit of education. We're just starting it off. I think there's 3 or 4, but follow us on YouTube, Esposito Realty Group. Follow me on social media. That will help and support me, even if you decide that partnership is probably not what you're looking for. But again, as a community of agents, I think we can help each other grow and just become better people, better agents, help and serve others. And so, as I always do, I really appreciate everybody spending their time, trusting me to provide you guys with some value. So thank you very much for your time today. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, but otherwise we can just rock and roll with the rest of our day. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you guys. Have a wonderful day.